with Eva Millick.
Good morning. We're live from Dreamworld, where investigations have resumed to determine how 4 adults were killed on a ride here at the theme park yesterday afternoon. We have our team of reporters standing by for full coverage on this tragedy. Firstly, Sylvia Jeffries joins us. Sylvia, you've been following developments from here at the park all morning. Can you bring us up to date?
Well, Eva, what a sombre morning it really has been for the Gold Coast community, and you only have to look behind us right now to see all the locals still arriving with their floral tributes, their cards and notes for the victims. They've been leaving them here this morning, and that tribute has been growing, and that is a very big reflection of the sentiment felt here on the Gold Coast and right across the country. Internationally too, this story now is making headlines right around the world. Let's talk about the victims, though, because we know more about them this morning. They are 4 people, and we learned in the last few hours that one of them is a New Zealander woman who was a long-term resident in Sydney. She died also alongside 3 of her friends, one of them being Kate Goodchild, a 32-year-old mother of 2 girls. Her brother, Luke Dorset, his partner, Ruzbeg Aragi, and as I said, the 42-year-old woman who was a New Zealander as well. They were on holidays from the ACT on a family day out here on the Gold Coast at Dreamworld when tragedy struck at about 2:30 yesterday afternoon. We do also know a little bit more about what went wrong yesterday. We heard from police that this raft on the River Rapids ride flipped over, unpredictably of course, and on board there were also 2 young girls aged 10 and 13. One of them, we understand, was the daughter of Kate Goodchild, who has passed away. A lot of focus, of course, on their well-being this morning and their care as well, but also, of course, on the investigation, which Queensland Police have made very clear will be long and thorough over the coming days, perhaps even weeks and months, Eva.
It is just a heartbreaking situation. Sylvia, thank you. Now, authorities have spent the entire night here at the theme park trying to piece together exactly what went wrong. I'd like to bring in Ashlyn Krukelis now. Ashlyn, where are police at with the investigation?
Well, Eva, police have certainly told us that it won't be quick. They say that's not their priority. They say they owe it to the victims to make it thorough instead, so we can expect it to take several weeks. What we know about this accident is that it happened at the very end of this ride, just seconds away from when these people were meant to be getting off it. 2 of these rafts collided, and then one of them has flipped over backwards. The finer details as to why this happened is the subject of this major investigation, though. I'll show you the crime scene that we have set up here. There's police tape surrounding the ride at the moment. You can see the police officers up there now. They've been here all night and all morning, and they have a lot to work with this investigation. There is CCTV footage of the incident happening, and all the police officers who've seen it have told us that it is just absolutely harrowing. And there are a number of witnesses who they're talking to, both people who saw the tragedy unfold and also people who were here earlier in the day and think that there was a problem with the ride then. Some people have spoken about having to wait in the line for 30 or 40 minutes while the ride was stopped and the water was drained and then filled back up again. They say engineers were checking it, and then for some reason the ride continued operating. So that certainly raises some questions. Now, Assistant Commissioner Brian Codd spoke to us here this morning, and he spoke about the deep and emotional effect this is having on everyone involved. Take a listen to him.
I guess somewhere along the line we anticipate tragedies that cause such loss of life in other circumstances, and all too often it happens on our roads. But coming to a place where families want to come and enjoy each other's company and just have fun doesn't really equate to such a tragedy that we've seen. As you know, yesterday afternoon, through an apparent misoperation or some catastrophe, 4 people have lost their lives in essentially a flume ride or a water-based ride. What I can tell you is that there were 4 adults on that ride, 2 males, 2 females, and there were 2 children on that same flume, for want of a better description. We know that an occurrence has seen that particular flume be turned over and flipped, resulting in it falling back on top of those persons, and those persons being variously caught in machinery, and I don't want to go into too much graphic detail. I guess the fortunate thing is here that the 2 children managed to escape that disaster. A thorough investigation has been initiated under the direction of the coroner. The Queensland Police Service will be applying all resources necessary to examine every aspect of what's happened here. We owe it. We owe it to the deceased and their families. We owe it to the community of Queensland to get to the bottom of what caused this, to hold accountable any person that needs to be held accountable for this occurring, if that is the case, but most particularly ensuring that this can never happen again.
So as well as the police, we also have the state coroner and workplace health and safety officers all involved in this investigation. It really is the focus here today. The theme park is closed and it may stay that way for a few days yet. Eva?
Okay, Ashlyn Kukelis joining us there. As news spread of the tragedy yesterday afternoon, many people began arriving at Dreamworld laying floral tributes. Jessica Millwood joins us now from what is fast becoming a makeshift shrine. Jess, this is very clearly having a huge impact on the community.
Certainly is, Eva. This started as 3 bunches of flowers, and have a look at what it has become now. Dozens and dozens of bunches of flowers, letters and also tributes to those 4 people that did lose their lives yesterday. I've spoken to quite a few people that have come to pay their respects, and as you can see, they continue to do so now, and they say that this is such a tragedy for those involved, but also for the wider Gold Coast community. This is a ride that many people here on the coast have been on several times. Dreamworld is at the heart of the tourism industry here on the Gold Coast, so people have felt compelled to come down. Many people have been very emotional as they've laid their tributes here today. Let's hear from some of them now.
I don't even know what to say. It's just unbelievable that, you know, a family can come out on a lovely day to have fun. Now the families are ripped apart. I mean, what do you do for the mother of, you know, the son and the daughter? I can't even begin to imagine what she's going through.
It's a tragic time for the Gold Coast and you know, for Australia, you know, with all what's happening. So yeah, it's quite surreal at the moment.
So as we heard there, some very emotional tributes. Emotional also is the statement that we've received from Kim Dorset. She is the mother of 2 of the victims in this tragic accident, and I'll read you some of that statement now. It reads, "My family have been completely wiped out. I have 3 children and 2 of them are now gone. My 8-month-old granddaughter is never going to know her mother, and that truly breaks my heart." So Eva, these floral tributes will no doubt grow here today as people on the Gold Coast and the wider Australian community continue to pay their respects.
Yeah, it's hard to comprehend the enormity of this tragedy. Jess, let's go to Shane Doherty now at State Parliament. Shane, how are our politicians reacting to this news?
Well, Eva, tourism is a $23 billion industry in Queensland. It employs 230,000 people, 1,000 of them at Dreamworld. So somewhere, someone is paying attention to the possible impacts of this tragedy on our tourism business, not only within Australia, but what we're seeing and feeling there at Dreamworld, they're seeing and feeling right across the world. But the tone being set from the Premier on down is that today's not the day to be worried about those sorts of things. Today is a day for mourning, and the word we keep hearing is heartbreak.
The effort and the concentration at this time must be with the thorough investigation that is underway by the Queensland Police Service and Workplace Health and Safety.
There's tremendous emotion at the moment. As an industry, what I'm proud of is we will now stick together and we'll work together as an industry because we know some of our colleagues are going through challenging times. But to be honest, our thoughts are with those that are impacted by the tragedy.
We have become used to seeing horror in many places. On the roads, we've almost become immune to it. But I think the shock of this tragedy is that it's happened in the last place anyone expected. We think that we will hear from the Premier and the Police Commissioner within a short time. That's how important the government is treating what's happened at Dreamworld. Eva?
OK, Shane Doherty, thank you. We will take a short break. Up next, we will have more from Dreamworld and the rest of the day's news.
Gally is dying.
Please, please, please let me live.
This is the only man in Australia who can save her. On A Current Affair, our hospital waiting